Have you ever made an error where you added instead of subtracting, or you multiplied instead of dividing? So we wanted to ask this question today. What is an error log? An error log is a very special tool. I like to reference all of our study tools as being a tool in our toolbox. And if you were thinking about building a house, you wouldn't just show up with a hammer. You wouldn't just show up with a saw. You would show up with a box full of different tools and gadgets that you will use to work on the various components that it is to build a house. So I say to look at your test prep experience as building a house and have all the tools that you can to bring with you to do well on your test prep experience. And so I want to take a moment to answer the question, what is an error log? So an error log is a tool used to keep track of questions you answered incorrectly and sometimes correctly during test practice. Okay. So what is really interesting about an error log is that it makes it possible for you to get categories of questions that you may have used and have like a physical or digital representation of your testing progress. The error log makes it possible for you to capture these questions that you may have gotten wrong or sometimes correct, right? Because everyone takes a study, a test or a practice set. And sometimes when they do this practice set, they may get an answer right that they probably didn't know why they got it right or just guessed correctly. So you want to make sure that in this error log, you're capturing both incorrect answers and answers that you may have gotten right by guessing. This tool helps to identify patterns in the types of questions and topics where you are making errors, right? Hence why it's called an error log. It logs your errors. It makes it possible for you to understand what are some of the question types or errors that you are making. When it comes to test prep and taking an exam, there are different types of errors you can make, right? There are some errors that you can miss because of rushing on an exam, right? Have you ever missed a question because you was maybe rushing and you were, very moving in a very haste to beat the timing on your exam? And so those are like level 1 errors. Those are errors that you can, fix by having like a process that makes it possible for you to take a moment and learn more about how to like manage your time on testing. These are errors that you may make have you ever made an error where you added instead of subtracting, or you multiplied instead of dividing? Those are the low level errors where you can fix those by understanding the process. And an error log is great for that because you'll be able to understand, like, is it that you don't know the concept, or is it just coming down to the way that you're using your scratch paper on an exam, or maybe it's the way that you are using a variable of X for all of your algebra problems. This is information that you can gather from your error log. The second type of error that is made typically with students is that a student would not understand a concept, right? So let's say you are working on a GMAT problem and it's asking you a question about percents, and you are not familiar with the formula for how to measure a percent increase, right? A error log will identify to you that, hey, this type of problem you're getting incorrect. And the reason why you're getting this problem incorrect is not because you're missing a step, but missing a fundamental part of understanding the content. And so the error log makes it possible for you to view this error in a physical or digital way It makes it possible for you to then take the time to study that concept, and it makes your whole process a bit more efficient when it comes to studying. The third point is that the information gathered from the tool helps to target areas of improvement. And this dovetails nicely with my second point, where you're able to now go into studying for a test with a more targeted approach. So what I've noticed is that a student may take the GMAT and get a test breakdown and say, hey, from taking a mock exam, I'm missing questions in, let's say, fractions, decimals, or percents. Where am I missing? So what a student may do is just start studying those concepts at the beginning of the book and then working all the way through. That's a good way to learn the material and information in the beginning. But as you become more advanced in your study and your skill set, you want to have a more targeted approach, because that targeted approach makes it possible for you to be more efficient and cover more ground than trying to go over concepts that you already know.